Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. We are live on a rainy hump day here in central Mississippi. Maybe it'll cool back off a little bit with this rain coming through. The warm has been nice, but we got we have spring and summer ahead of us. I'm not opposed to a little bit more cooler weather till it gets here, because, I mean, it is summer 8 months out of the year here. So I can do without the freezing cold temps, but the hoodie weather, I can deal with hoodie weather. I'm wearing hoodie and shorts right now. You know, typical Mississippi man confused weather day outfit of choice. Oh, man, if you're watching online, we're streaming in 4K, stunning 4K video on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. We have been officially kicked back off of TikTok Live. They did not like what we were saying, so I found out last night we were off TikTok for 7 days, but frankly, I'm surprised it took that long to get kicked off TikTok. They do not like the conservative message, so we will kick up the live stream on Instagram in the second hour. We'll go live on Instagram also, but it can be a bit incendiary over there, so I don't want to put my guest through the ringer over on Instagram this morning. But anyway, with that said, we're on 103.9 FM WYAB. I'm sitting here in studio with Dr. Carrie Tilley Snyder for her third trip here. And again, I say it every time, I never expect hearing aid and hearing loss talk to be so informative and entertaining, and she blows my mind every time, and y'all's as well, because y'all text me. I had no idea I was going to be entertained by that this morning, but thank y'all. Good stuff, good information, and frankly, I think it's something that so many people deal with that they don't want to admit that they deal with. Raise your hand if you're in that group. Missing your doctor's appointments and everything. To fix your problem, raise your hand if you're in that group. I'm raising my hand for the people on radio that can't see. Dr. Carrie is with Home Hearing Healthcare. Good morning, Dr. Carrie. Thank you for getting up and coming and seeing us. Oh,
good morning. I love my time with you every time I come in, so I appreciate you having me.
I enjoy it. We had a little miscommunication this week, and I wasn't 100% sure if you were coming. I was asking Cliff. I was like, I'm going to cut the middleman out and just text her myself.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did.
And it was like, yes, 7 a.m. I was like, perfect. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. I mean, in a selfish way, too, it's a lot less show prep I have to do when I got somebody to talk to for an hour.
Right. It helps you use less words, huh?
It does. Look, I would always rather just have a conversation.
Right.
About stuff. And I did a podcast at the house last night with a buddy of mine, a live stream podcast. I don't know what we call this stuff anymore. Mm-hmm. The same thing we do here, but not on the radio and without commercials, whatever you want to call that. We had a conversation that was on video. And we were supposed to stop at 9. It was almost 10:30 by the time we got done. And then we sat around the house shooting the breeze. Long story short, it was after midnight before my head hit the pillow, and then 5:30 came mighty early this morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't push it to 6 and have that little 20-minute rush to get out of the house because the weather.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't, because I forgot I needed gas. And it's like 25, 30 miles from my house to here, and my car's at 21 to empty. And I'm just going to be honest. I don't know if you listen to the show much, but I don't do Jackson gas stations. So it's like, it's either stop at that last one in Pearl or have to make it, or hope, fingers crossed, I can make it all the way to Flora. And I'm not trying to run out of gas.
Especially in the rain.
In the rain, anywhere between there and here.
Right.
So I had to stop and get gas. I got it in Brandon there by the house. But I was like, man, smart this morning. I left 20 minutes early. I got here. I was very efficient this morning. We talked about efficiency off the air. Mm-hmm. I was very efficient this morning. Got Kim Wade's podcast already edited, ready to load up, so I can get out of here and go get my hair cut when I get done and all that. But with that said, what's been going on in the world of home hearing healthcare?
Yeah. Well, we started the new year, and we're in February. I feel like January was so long for some reason, and now we're in February and we're already halfway through it. So February is actually Tinnitus Awareness Month. And, tinnitus is the ringing of the ears.
That's what we call tinnitus also.
Yes, it can also be called tinnitus.
Okay.
Most people tinnitus can be very similar to the word tendinitis. And so I tend to use the word tinnitus because it kind of separates those words, but both are actually correct. pronunciations. But yeah, so ringing, it doesn't have to be ringing, buzzing. Some people have musical tinnitus, but it is a sound that you hear in your ear when the sound is not actually there. And it's usually one of the top reasons people come to our clinic is they're trying to figure out, can this be fixed? Can this go away? There's not an actual cure for tinnitus, but we know through research that 85% of the time a hearing aid alone will either make the tinnitus completely go away while you're wearing the hearing aid, or teach your brain to habituate the tinnitus to the point where you don't hear it anymore, or it's just faintly there and not bothering you.
You just kind of learn to live with it, sort of.
Yeah, kind of. But the hearing aid, I mean, like there have been so many times that we have simply put a hearing aid on a patient's ears, to a prescription fit hearing aid, I should say, and the tinnitus instantly went away. They say they don't hear it. Now, there's still the 15% of time that it does not happen for the patient. And then there's other things that we can help with tinnitus therapy that's actually built into the hearing aid. So it is a wonderful thing that we can help patients with, and they just need to make an appointment with us, and we can help them out, get them tested, and then hopefully develop a treatment plan for them.
Now, are y'all still doing mobile?
Yeah, so we still do mobile. So there's two audiologist with me, well, myself and then Dr. Scarborough, and she primarily does the mobile visits. I still do them, just not nearly as much. I'm mainly in the office most of the time, so we always have one provider that's in our Madison office and then one provider that is mobile.
I imagine the mobile thing stays pretty busy, huh?
Yeah, it does. It depends on some patients prefer just to get out. And then there's the patients that just can't get out. Either they can no longer drive, they have vision issues, their health is, declining to the point where it's very difficult for them to get out. And even some of those patients who start out mobile occasionally just like to come into the office because they like to get out. They get tired of being at home. But it is a wonderful option to be able to provide our patients who otherwise would not be able to hear if we did not come to them.
Gotcha. I probably should have booked the mobile myself this week because I've been so busy and hadn't been able to get over there. But no, I would never take advantage of that. I'm very able to get up and go do stuff. But I can see people, that are super busy and don't, or bed, sicker.
We actually do have some patients that are exactly that. They're just crazy busy, and they ask us to come into their office to test their hearing and fit them as well. So that was in the beginning a very key part of why we were doing it. If you were on the go, if you were, you couldn't get out, we found that there was less on the go patients than there were patients who just could not get out. So while we see either or, we find that our biggest service has been to the patients that can't necessarily get out.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would think most people don't. I would think that most people on the go don't even realize that they can get that type of care, and probably aren't going to ask for it either.
Well, and I think like myself, who's always on the go, like making time to remember to book that care is harder than actually having the care provided. And so I find I know I need a haircut, but 6 months later, I'm finally getting that haircut because it took me 6 months to remember or find the time to book it.
Yeah. So a couple months ago, I had an appointment to come in there, and I screwed my calendar up, and I was a day off somehow or another. But it's been this long before I've been able to say, okay, I need to go back and do that. But then this week, when I really needed to do it, where you came back in here so we could talk about that, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So it happens like that. So I always like to revisit this. Well, first, if anybody has any questions about hearing loss, you guys have the last two times that we've had Dr. Snyder in here, you guys have hit us up with a lot of good questions, and I'm just going to ask you all the same. If you have any questions you want to ask about hearing loss or hearing issues or noises that you're hearing or anything to do with your hearing, feel free to give us a call on the Mazda of Jackson phone line at 601-879-0002. You can also text those questions into the Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. And if you're watching on the live stream, just drop a comment. If you're watching on Facebook, X, or YouTube, I think Rumble those comments push over too. So I think all the platforms you can comment. I can see it in one place here, so we're good to go there. You know, any technological advances since the last time we spoke?
Not too many. Every manufacturer is constantly pushing new technology. So the spring will be a new rollout. In the next month or two, we will start learning about the new technologies that these manufacturers are releasing. The biggest thing that we are seeing is something called Auracast that is being implemented into hearing aids. So Auracast will be the next streaming platform in the sense of non-Bluetooth. And so it's Auracast.
Like oral, but Aura.
Okay. Yeah, Aura. And so this will be in, airports. This will be in your restaurants. So the technology is still rolling out. So instead of having to say, oh, you have to connect your hearing aids to this device, if you're in the airport and someone comes over and says, hey, your gate changes at blah, 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 it will automatically directly stream into the hearing aids without anyone having to do anything for that. So Auracast is going to be here before we know it, but this is going to be huge for places like assistive living homes, people that have a lot of people that are always churches. So instead of having to loop a church, meaning that they would have to put this line around certain pews and they would have to sit in this certain area to be able to have the preacher stream to their hearing aids, and they have to have a telecoil. So all of these things. Auracast, you can just have this little box in your church, and then as long as it's connected and the hearing aids have Auracast in it, it will stream directly to the patient's ears, which is a huge thing because even with hearing aids, sometimes people don't speak into the microphones clearly, or they don't have the sound up loud enough, or there's no sound at all. And so this would allow those patients to be able to hear beautifully without distance being an issue.
So is this a technological advancement strictly in the hearing aid field or for the hearing impaired, or is this something that's going to replace Bluetooth altogether?
You know, I don't know if it's going to replace Bluetooth altogether, but it could. But no, it's not just for hearing aids. I think you'll see it in other technology, other earpod type streaming devices. I don't really know what Apple's going to do, so I hate to say AirPods, but yes, you're going to see this rolling out in other devices that people use to listen to music, TV, all of those things. So it will be something for all.
Interesting. I love technology.
Yeah.
I do. I'm not as plugged into the newest of the new anymore, because when you had to do 2 hours of show prep for a particular topic every day, you don't get to your little pet project or personal interest stuff tend to fall by the wayside a little bit, as it comes with adulting, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I haven't been able to keep up with the tech stuff as much as I used to like to. And it's kind of on my hit list of things to start looking at the tech blogs and stuff again. But Auracast. Let's take we got a call coming in, and we missed them last time here, so they hung up before I could get to them. So let's take this call before we go to break here. Hey, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, I was wondering what causes ear buzzing, and what can you do to stop it?
Yeah, so that ear buzzing is exactly what we were just talking about. It's called tinnitus or tinnitus, and oftentimes that is caused by hearing loss. And so we always recommend that you get a hearing test so we can look at that. As far as what you can do to help it, there's no actual cure for it, but we know that a hearing aid oftentimes will eliminate that buzzing completely or help your brain retrain itself to not hear it or break that cycle of tinnitus, because it is a vicious cycle. So I encourage you to make an appointment with us and let us test your hearing so we can see if it actually is a hearing loss. Some other things that can not cause the tinnitus but can sometimes intensify it can be stress, lack of sleep, the overuse of aspirin, taking a lot of caffeine in, and salt, or some things that can intensify it but not necessarily cause it. But again, we're happy to see you at our office and help get to the bottom of it for you.
Hey, and thank y'all so very much, and have a blessed day.
You too.
You too, brother. Appreciate it. Let's take a break real quick. When we come back, we got more with Dr. Carrie Tilley Snyder with Home Hearing Healthcare. Again, you guys got any questions about it? I always say there's no stupid questions. You know, there's just stupid answers. I'm kidding. Call back. Give us a call if you got any questions. We'll have not stupid answers for you from Dr. Carrie Tilley Snyder, as I try to be funny this morning and it's fallen a bit flat. This is the Clay Edwards Show on a rainy hump day here on 103.9 FM WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB 103.9 FM, streaming worldwide in stunning 4K video, courtesy of the Yurkaron Law Firm at Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. Just search Save JXN, and you will see us there. And, of course, you can always go back and watch the videos on demand if you so choose. If you don't do that and you just want to skip everything, skip the commercials and all that, but we don't cut out the live reads. But, hey, we don't do this for free, dang it. Anyway, if time is of the essence, you can wait till I load the podcast, the audio-only podcast. It goes to Apple, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you listen to audio-only podcasts, Audible books, it's everywhere. And just search Clay Edwards Show, and I try to get it up by 10 a.m. every day when the show's over. Show ends at 9. I try to have the podcast up by 10:05, somewhere in there. So just hit the little subscribe, and hit the little bell or whatever it is on that app for notifications, and you will get a notification every time we upload episodes. I try to clip it up into easy, digestible segments when applicable, and make it easy for you guys to listen to and watch. That's what it's all about. So we try to make it easy for you. Clay Edwards Show and Save JXN across social media. Real quick, this segment brought to you by our friends over at... How about my friends at, Martin just got a big event this weekend. I want to make sure you guys are aware. You just heard the commercial. Friday and Saturday night, it's the Dixie National Rodeo after parties. Friday night, you've got my good friends over in Burnham Road. That's right, the brother and sister and their full band will be playing all of your favorite country hits right after the rodeo on Friday night. And it's Valentine's. Guys, do I have to tell you any more? Take her to the rodeo, then take her to the Martins for Burnham Road. She will be happy. You can send me a thank you card later. Say, Clay, you're right. She was happy. Also, Saturday night, Mississippi favorite, Jason Miller, his full band, the Jason Miller Band, will be at Martin's for the Dixie National After Party Saturday night as well. So that's 2 big nights of awesome kick-butt country music in downtown Jackson. They don't do a whole lot of country at Martin's, so take advantage of it. It's one of the coolest concert venues in the state of Mississippi. And when they get bands that a little less traditional what they normally do, I highly, highly recommend going out there and supporting that. And, hey, if you pack that out for that, maybe they'll bring them back some other time than just Dixie National time. So mark your calendars, Martin's downtown this weekend, Friday and Saturday night. All right, Dr. Carrie Tilley Snyder here in the studio with me. We're talking about hearing loss, hearing aids, all that good stuff. If you had any questions for the good doctor, you can call us on the Mazda Jackson phone line at 601-879-0002. Dr. Snyder, I've got a question. Mm-hmm. What about hearing loss prevention, other than the obvious stuff like loud noises and, being really safe? And I know here in the South, we just got through with gun season, with hunting season. A lot of guys, we just good old boys. We get out in the woods and we shoot our guns, and, we don't think about the damage that could be causing. Do you see a lot of that, people coming in from hunting season that have not used hearing protection and have issues?
Yeah, so one big thing that we'll see a lot is the tinnitus. And I know we keep talking about that with the Tinnitus Awareness Month, but a lot of times these people can shoot a gun and their ears will instantly start ringing because that gunshot is so loud that it could cause permanent damage or temporary damage. So we oftentimes see a temporary threshold shift that usually is temporary because it will recover. But when you shoot a gun without protection and your ears instantly start ringing, that means you have damaged your hair cells. And that ringing is telling you that they're aggravated, essentially. You hope that will return back and your hearing will come back and the ringing will stop. So all of that could be avoided by wearing hearing protection or electronic game ears. All of that
Electronic what?
Electronic game ears. So that is a form of hearing protection that does not block out the sound completely, so it can amplify the sound. So when you're hunting, you may not want to block out all the sounds because you need to hear that deer walking in the woods, or you need to hear turkey gobbling at a distance. Does
it actually turn that up?
Yeah, so they have a set level of loudness that it allows, and you can turn the volume up, yes. Some have volume controls, some do not, but it allows you still to hear and amplify the sounds because most men who hunt have already damaged their hearing because they haven't done or taken the correct steps to protect it. And by the time that they want to start protecting it because they realize they're not hearing well, it's already too late. You still want to continue to protect the hearing that you have left, to not damage it anymore, but you need to start young. You need to teach your children when you're taking them hunting, hey, you need to put hearing protection in. If you're target shooting, put the hearing protection in, because one shot of a gun can instantly kill your ear as well. So I know that's something that didn't necessarily happen to you, but you know the life of living with one good ear.
Well, it did happen to me also.
Okay.
And it didn't kill it permanently, but it was New Year's Eve about 10 or 12 years ago. I was at a party out in the country, and they were shooting guns. And somebody had this big, cool AR-15 all decked out, and I was like, I want my go. And I went over there. I still got the video, and I'm like, that's the video where I lost my hearing for 2 weeks, and I had a ringing in my ear for a month. And when you only have one ear, my whole thing is FOFO, F around and find out. I FOFO'd that night and almost lost my one good ear, and was going to be deaf for the rest of my life. And it's one thing to be deaf; it's another thing to be deaf with a ringing in your
right.
You don't have nothing. You have this annoying ringing, and you can't hear anything else.
Correct.
And I tell you, I have not shot a gun without hearing protection since. And I think that's kind of a message I would like to get across to my fellow men out there. We don't like riding. We don't like wearing helmets. We don't like wearing our hunter orange. We don't like putting protection in our ears when we're shooting our guns. But I'm telling you, we got to start taking better care of ourselves and setting that example for our youth and our kids when we involve them in these situations too.
Right, exactly. And I mean, you being the perfect example of that and knowing the experience you had, it is hard to hear with one ear. I mean, it's hard to hear with hearing loss in general, but when you've hurt your good ear and you don't have another ear to compensate for it,
it's scary.
It is scary and much more difficult.
And really stressed out about
and
it.
then you notice having that tinnitus, how much that can wear on your nerves. And so tinnitus is a vicious cycle. You hear it. You start paying more attention to it. It becomes louder, and you have to break that somewhere. So I'm thankful that your temporary threshold shift that you experienced from shooting your gun came back, but that doesn't necessarily happen all the time. But by simply putting, this hearing protection, even if you don't get electronic hearing protection, if you're target shooting where it's rapid fire, you need to have either the foam earplugs in your ear, and you need to make sure you're getting those in deep. I have a perfect example of my husband. He asked me the one and only time to go dove hunting with him, and I'm very cautious around guns just because I have a hearing loss as well, so I don't want to lose anything else that I have. And so he had his inserts in, his little foam inserts in, and he's just having a full-blown conversation with me. And I said, you don't have those in all the way. And he said, yes, I do. I have them in, see? And so I got them, and I rolled them up and pushed them in his ear. And then he said, well, I can't hear you anymore. And I was like, and that means they're incorrectly. Yeah. And so if you can hear and carry on a conversation with those foam earplugs in your ears, you do not have them incorrectly. And it is so important to have those incorrectly so that you are protecting your hearing. Because if you have them in just for looks, to say you have something in, that defeats the purpose of what you're trying to achieve.
Look, and we have some great sponsors here on the radio station. They're not on my show, but like Two Gun Tactical has their indoor shooting facility. And I know we host an event there. The radio station somewhat hosts an event there every Wednesday, but it just gets me to thinking, even in those situations, guys, where you're not the one shooting, but you're in proximity of the shooting, just because it's not right by your ear, you should still be wearing those inner protection, even if it's outside. But going back to like the indoor stuff, I would suggest better safe than sorry. Anytime you're in the enclosed shooting area, whether you're shooting or not, obviously, wear your hearing protection. Take it from somebody who messed up and almost lost it all. I mean, I had to go get steroid shots and all kind of stuff,
right.
And it was really scary there. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had to learn how to read lips and sign, I guess. But, I mean, because it was one of the things that I didn't touch a gun. Well, I didn't shoot a gun again for a while. I was literally gun shy.
Yeah, and so that also brings up a very important thing to know is if you experience sudden hearing loss. So your temporary threshold shift is also called a sudden hearing loss. So a sudden hearing loss is you have hearing and then you don't, or you go to bed and you wake up and your hearing seems drastically changed. A lot of times people will put it off as, oh, I probably have earwax. Well, you need to rule it out if you have earwax.
Sinus infection.
A sinus infection. Oh, I have fluid on my ears. You need to rule that out because you only have a small window of time to get in and see an ENT, an ear, nose, and throat doctor, or a neuro-otologist that specializes in his ears, so that he can get you, or she can get you on medicine, or can give you those steroid shots in your ears to hopefully help bring that hearing back. So again, if you experience sudden hearing loss, we would rather get you in ASAP, and you need to say, I think I've had sudden hearing loss, not, oh, I think it's earwax, because they're going to put you more out on the books. You need to say sudden hearing loss. And then if it is earwax, great. That's easy. That's way easier to fix than a sudden hearing loss. And so definitely an important thing to know.
I like that you clarified that, because sometimes we can be embarrassed when we do self-inflicted things. Not saying that all sudden hearing loss is self-inflicted, but I guess technically it can be. But not saying it is, but sometimes we're embarrassed to admit that I did something stupid, like rapid fire my gun without hearing protection in, and I don't want to tell somebody, look, I've done this, but your hearing's too damn important. Tell them what's wrong, just like you're being honest with your doctor about how you feel. You don't want to go through life without hearing because you had too much foolish pride and didn't tell somebody what was really going on. Let's take a break. Having a good time this morning, talking with Miss Carrie Tilley Snyder with Home Hearing Healthcare. When we come back, we're going to tell you about vocational rehab and how you may be able to get some financial assistance with your hearing aids and stuff, some stuff that's out there that's available for the average person. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on 103.9 FM, WYAB. Hi, welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. Had a visitor in there in the hallway and almost missed my cue. But you're back live here on the RADIO. Hey guys, Friday is Valentine's. If I failed to mention that in that Martin's read, two birds, one stone. You can celebrate Valentine's at the rodeo and at Martin's. But before that, you want to be a real rock star? Come see me and Sean. We're going to be broadcasting live. We're taking the show on the road for the first time ever, the actual radio show, not just the internet version. And we're going to be broadcasting from 7 to 9 a.m. at Juniker Jewelers right there on Highland Colony in Madison, right up there next to Madison Central and across from the new Kiefers and all that stuff. And come by and get her a very nice little piece of jewelry. They have stuff starting as low as $50 or $60, nice little trinkets that just say I love you or I appreciate you, and all the way up to more expensive stuff. They have some great programs. We'll tell you all about that and more. But at the end of the day, make plans to come by Juniker Jewelry from 7 to 9 or all day. You don't have to be there when we're there. But swing by. Great sponsor here at WYAB. If you're going to get your wife or significant other something special for Valentine's, support those that support us. And that's Juniker Jewelry. And then a big night at the rodeo. Sounds like fun to me. All right, Dr. Carrie Tilley Snyder, Home Hearing Healthcare, here in the studio with us. Doc, we had a question before I move on to our talk about the vocational rehab. One of our service members asked her, this is James on the Guns and Gear text line, ask her what us in the military can do. A lot of our stuff is so loud, earplugs don't do it. It's still so loud. Also, we have to hear to communicate with each other. Is that just a tough situation there?
It is a tough situation. They, some of those blasts are just loud, and they're always going to still be heard because the NRR rating, the noise reduction rating, can only do so much for those type of blast and really, really loud sounds. But the most important thing is to still wear the devices. There are custom-made plugs that are solid. There's no filters. The ones that offer no filters are going to have the highest NRR rating to provide the most protection, but at the same time, it could still be hard for them to communicate. I would rather them yell and to be heard for communication than to lose their hearing in a blast. So a solid earplug, especially when you're practice or target blasting, is going to be the best option for them. They do make earplugs that are filtered, and these are filtered earplugs. So there's special ones called noise hoxes where the filter is patented, and when the loud blast happens, the filter will stiffen to allow the least amount of noise in that it can. Mm-hmm. But then when the noise is not that loud, the filter is more soft, and sounds can come in for communication. So that would be an option for patients such as that work in, a dental field or a field where where they still need to hear, but as soon as that drill gets really loud, they need the most amount of communication. Or sports players who have a really loud crowd sound. And when the crowd gets really loud, it can be hard to focus. So that filter would stiffen. It would block out that really loud sound so they can make the play they need to make. And then when the crowd is not so loud, it becomes more open and they can still hear their teammates.
So that's interesting. So if you're a road team and on a football, like maybe these guys that play in the SEC, these big, super loud, or maybe anybody comes to play at Davis Wade Stadium, we get our cowbells going, there's a hearing aid that'll drown out some of that external noise so you can focus on what's in front of you.
Hearing protection, but yes.
I'm sorry, not hearing aid.
Hearing protection. Yes,
sorry.
I jokingly say for those Mississippi State fans, including my husband, that those cowbells are job protection for me.
Oh, job security, for sure.
Because they ring them so loud. You get hit in the head with them. But even in Wade Davis Stadium, you really need to be wearing hearing protection around those cowbells because it gets so loud that could potentially damage your hearing for long periods of time if you're around that.
I mean, look, we've been long-suffering State fans. The last thing I want to do is also lose my hearing while they're losing games.
Right.
My goodness. Talk about insult to injury.
Right, exactly.
So I know that we have a great sponsor here on the station, Guns and Gear, and they sell some hearing loss prevention stuff. Mm-hmm. Where are some other places that can get this more technical, this advanced stuff that you're talking about?
Yeah, you can get it from us. We'll make impressions of your ears, so these would be custom.
From your office?
Yes. So we would make impressions of your ears. It would be custom fitted to your ears. There's also ones that we can order that are not custom. They're a little bit cheaper, kind of like a one-size-fits-all. There's different sleeves that can fit over it. Those are much cheaper.
Similar like the little sleeves that come with your earbuds?
Yeah, kind of like that. A little different, but yes. Yeah. We also are partnered with Grace Sturdivant at Odo Pro, and I think she's been on the radio before here for hearing protection too. So we work closely with her as well. She is like the guru of hearing protection as well. But we are partnered with her, so we can make a recommendation for you, or if we can't get the answer for you, we know the perfect person that can.
So good news is y'all do sell all the stuff or have access to all the stuff that we're mentioning here.
Yes.
And do y'all keep some stuff just in stock, like the non-custom fit type stuff? So if they just want to run in, grab that. And you got 4 locations across the state?
We do have 4 locations. So our primary location is in Madison. It is a full-time location. And then we also have a location in Oxford that is full-time. So Doug Archer is the provider in Oxford, and he is a little more heavily saturated with mobile because he actually goes to the Delta. There's not a lot of places there.
Been talking about the Delta a lot lately. So.
Yeah, so he goes there, but he has a physical location in Oxford. We have a location in Lexington, Mississippi, and then down south in Lucedale, Mississippi.
So as far as central Mississippi is Madison.
It is Madison, and then we have our mobile, so we're able to service the metro area through the mobile.
Can you give your Madison address out?
Yeah, it's 204 Key Drive, Madison, Mississippi. It's right off of Highland Colony Parkway, right up the road from Juniker. So if you buy that jewelry on Friday, you can just hop by our office and see us there. So you turn on Highland Colony, and we're directly across the street from the Baptist Medical, Kiefer's, all that. So instead of turning that way to go there, you'll just turn on the opposite street, which is Key Drive, and we're the second building there. Brick building there. You can't miss us. We have signage and everything.
Nice. That's a Home Hearing Healthcare. And your website's homehearinghealthcare.com?
That's correct.
Keep it simple.
That's right.
All right, we got about 3 or 4 minutes here. Let's talk about vocational rehab and how people can get some financial aid for this type stuff.
Yeah, so vocational rehab is a wonderful program. I utilized it with my hearing loss. So what Voc Rehab wants, or its goal, is to keep people working. So the people that are in the workforce, if they have some sort of disability that could hinder them from doing their job, Voc Rehab is there to help them. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just hearing aids. It can be vision. It can be a limb, prosthetic, but they do assist with hearing aids. So it's so important to hear to do your job. And if you're not hearing, you cannot do your job correctly, or because you're not hearing how to do your job correctly. Or So that is a small process. You would come in, we would test your hearing. From there, we would send in the paperwork to Voc Rehab. You do have to get the signatures of an audiologist and a physician. So we both have to sign off to say, yes, this patient has hearing loss, and yes, hearing aids would benefit them.
Well, depending on where you work, this is clearly a safety issue too, especially with hearing. Mm-hmm. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. And so from there, Voc Rehab, you'll meet with a counselor at Voc Rehab, and they will, approve your paperwork. And then from there, we'll fit you with your hearing aid. So it's a wonderful program through the state. They either provide full assistance or, a good bit of assistance, because their end goal is to keep you working and to almost keep you out of the systems and filing disability. Because if we can fix what's wrong so you're not having to file disability, overall it's a win-win, because you're saving the state money ultimately in the end. So a wonderful, wonderful program. I've went through it myself. So I always encourage it to people that are still working out there as a way to help.
That's interesting. I mean, because I can see all the pluses in that. I mean,
you could even go through it if you need to.
I was going to say, instead of having to quit working and draw disability of some sort, maybe something like this could be the game changer for you to continue working.
Correct.
Without having to come out the pocket fully.
Yes, absolutely.
Man, that is such a good deal. That's the kind of money I like seeing our government and stuff spend on.
Right.
To actually help the citizens of this country. That's good stuff. Well, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll kind of land the plane. I think we got a question. I'll tell you what, we'll just take one question real quick. Jason asked a little bit earlier, I think, about insurance. Let me just make sure I get the question correct here. Do most insurance provide a coverage for hearing aids?
Okay, so that's actually a really good question. So depending on your insurance, some insurances do. Most private insurances do not. So some private insurances do. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi does not have any coverage. And it's sad because they don't even have coverage for children. So shame on Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi for not helping our children hear better and making our parents pay out of pocket for their hearing aids.
Right. But that's where the vocational stuff could come into play.
Potentially, but children aren't working.
Sure.
But I know vocational rehab does have some support there for that. Some United Healthcare plans have coverage. Blue Cross Blue Shield Blue Cross Blue Shield Federal does have a benefit. So it is based on per insurance basis. So we usually know the plans that do have it. Medicare Advantage plans oftentimes do cover hearing aids there, but we check those policies for the patient and let them know if they do have any coverage.
Well, a friend of mine just texted in that was actually just in the hallway there and said his wife actually just got approved for a hearing aid through the vocational program. So good stuff there. Real people that being able to take advantage of this stuff. We'll be right back to land the plane with Dr. Carrie Tilley Snyder with Home Hearing Healthcare. And you got a whole nother hour with me coming up after that, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Again to the Clay Edwards Show as we land the plane for hour one with our guest, Dr. Carrie Tilley Snyder, Home Hearing Healthcare. Somebody did mention in the chat real quick about it'd be a good opportunity to start the conversation about using suppressors on firearms and tying that in with the National Hearing Protection Act. And I agree totally, and the doctor does too, as far as the suppressors being a very, very good option for firearms and hearing protection, but still use your hearing protection even with the suppressors. Dr. Snyder, we've got about 40 seconds here. Tell everybody your website address and where your location here in Madison is real quick.
So Home Hearing Healthcare at homehearinghealthcare.com. We're located at 204 Key Drive in Madison, right off that main Madison exit. You can find us very, very easily. The GPS takes you straight to us. You can reach out to us at 601-351-5433. And if you go to our website, we even have a little chat box. You can chat with us live there. So we make it very easy for you to get in contact with us. We're always happy to answer questions. So feel free to reach out, drop in anything that we can help you with. And one last thing, if you have hearing aids already, we're happy to help you with those hearing aids. So you don't have to purchase hearing aids from us just to utilize our services. So come in and give us a try.
Like it. Like I said, swing by. They do have stuff in stock that doesn't require custom fitting, and of course they have the custom fitting options as well. And look, if you got something going on in your hearing, it's not going to get any better without help. Go by, see them, let them see if they can prevent it from getting worse, or even get it to run it back and salvage, get your full hearing back. So, At Home Hearing Healthcare, Dr. Carrie Tilley Snyder, it's been a blast as always. Thank you so much for coming in and sitting down with us in my audience this morning.
All right. Thanks for having us.
We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. I'll be right back, guys, for hour 2. Y'all don't go anywhere.